This is the true story of an American hero, a young man from Alabama who, at just 23 years old, walked into hell on earth to save the lives of his brothers in arms. This is the story of Sergeant Ray Lambert, the Angel of Omaha. On June 6, 1944, at 5 a.m., the English Channel was rough that cold morning. 12 miles off the coast of Normandy, the deck of the transport ship pitched violently beneath Ray Lambert's boots as the cutting wind carried the smell of salt and diesel mixed with the sour stench of vomit from hundreds of nervous soldiers. Ray was only 23 years old, yet he had already seen more war than most men would see in a lifetime. His brother's voice cut through the roar of the engines. Bill pushed through the crowd, his face pale beneath his steel helmet. They had grown up together in Alabama, cutting timber during the Great Depression, and now they stood in the icy waters of Normandy, about to invade Nazi-occupied Europe. Bill asked if it would be like Sicily. Ray stared into the dark horizon. He had already been wounded twice before in North Africa and Sicily, and he trusted his instincts. He told his brother it would be worse, much worse. Bill said their mother would be proud. Ray replied that only if they made it home, and he reminded Bill of their deal. If something happened to one of them, the other would take care of their wives. Ray thought of his newborn son, a boy he had never met, only seen in faded photographs kept close to his heart. That was who he would fight for that day, for him and for the men beside him. At 6:30 a.m., Sergeant Arnold Ray Lambert, lead medic of the 2nd Battalion, 16th Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division, the legendary Big Red One, checked his gear again. Medical bags, morphine, bandages, sulfa powder, and tourniquets. Everything he would need to keep men alive long enough to reach a hospital. Around him, soldiers prayed quietly or wrote final letters home as the commander announced that loading would begin in 30 minutes and told them to look out for one another. Ray gathered his medics, 18 and 19-year-old boys, some who had lied about their age to enlist, and warned them that when the ramp dropped, bullets would fly like hail and that they needed to stay underwater as long as possible. A young soldier named Patterson from Ohio admitted he was scared. Ray placed a hand on his shoulder and said he was scared too, explaining that any smart man feels fear before battle. But they were not alone, because they were brothers now, and brothers do not leave brothers behind. At 7 a.m., the soldiers descended into the landing craft. The sea was rough. 31 men packed into a metal boat moved toward the beach as explosions erupted around them. A nearby craft was hit and vanished within seconds, killing everyone aboard. When the ramp dropped, hell opened. At 7:35 a.m. on Omaha Beach, Easy Red Sector, the world exploded into chaos. Ray saw the shore covered with steel obstacles, barbed wire, and bodies as German machine guns opened fire, ripping through the water like deadly rain. Ray felt the impact before the pain when a bullet tore through his right arm, shattering bone. Even wounded, he did not stop. Men jumped into deep water carrying heavy gear, many sinking before reaching shore. Ray shouted for them to stay submerged, using his left arm to push soldiers under the water. The pain was unbearable, but there was work to do. Patterson froze on the ramp, and Ray dragged him into the water, ordering him to dive. Ray reached the sand with his right arm useless, and his uniform soaked in blood as cries for a medic came from all directions. He crawled to a soldier wounded in the abdomen, an injury that was fatal. The young man asked if he would be okay, and Ray told him he was brave, injected morphine, asked his name, Danny from Texas, held his hand, told him he had fought well, and closed his eyes when it was over. There was always another wounded man waiting. Even after being wounded 3 times, Ray kept going, crawling across the sand, treating wounds and comforting soldiers, until a steel landing ramp broke loose from a craft and slammed down directly on top of him. Everything went dark. Ray woke up 3 days later in a hospital in England with a broken arm, a wounded leg, and a fractured spine, but alive. Beside him, his brother Bill had survived as well. Years later, Ray would return to Omaha Beach and say that when the sea was rough, It sometimes felt like he could still hear voices, the voices of the men who never came home. Ray Lambert died in 2021 at the age of 100, an ordinary man who did extraordinary things. May we never forget.